Hey, I saw a movie and I want to talk about it. Captain America: Civil War, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo and starring Chris Evans as the titular Captain America. Joined also by Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson slash the Falcon, and Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier slash Bucky Barnes. And featuring etc. It's a sequel to 2014's Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which left off with Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, dealing with some identity crises. But it could also be easily classified as an Avengers movie. It starts off with a new team of Avengers, consisting of Scarlet Witch, Falcon, War Machine, Black Widow, Captain America, and Vision, conducting a mission in Lagos, Nigeria. The mission doesn't exactly go as planned, and basically the world leaders want the Avengers to be held responsible. And that's where it brings in the actual conflict of the story. Secretary of State Thunderbolt Ross, formerly General from the Incredible Hulk movie, brings them the Sokovia Accords, which basically outline checks and balances for the Avengers from a World Council on the UN. Black Widow, Vision, and War Machine all agree that there should be some restrictions on what they're doing. Whereas Captain America and Falcon feel that they are the ones who are best suited to decide when their powers should be used. Wanda Maximoff's insane levels of power essentially caused the event that led to the Sokovia Accords. So she understandably feels bad about what she's done, but ultimately she's on Captain America's side. So overall, it was a fantastic movie. Probably without exaggeration, the best movie I've ever seen in my life. It somehow managed to do what Age of Ultron and Batman vs. Superman couldn't do, which was juggle a lot of stuff effectively. And I credit that to the Russo brothers. They're used to it from Community, dealing with 8 main characters on a daily basis, and managing to give them all the time they need. But a lot can be said for the performances as well. Standout to me was Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther. That was like astounding. I was just floored. There was times when he would say something and I would just be all giggles because it was like he was seducing me. I was in love with Black Panther, if that's not a weird thing to say. And Spider-Man. Spider-Man was amazing, spectacular. What other adjectives Marvel uses to describe him? He was all of them. Tom Holland hit every mark he needed to. He was the perfect Peter Parker, the perfect nerd, perfect science kid, you know? His idol worship of Tony Stark was just spot on. It was something that maybe Tobey Maguire could do, but Andrew Garfield I wouldn't have bought it from. But then he turned around and did the Spider-Man role perfectly. He was, sarcastic New Yorker, and he was doing it. I definitely cannot wait to see both the Spider-Man Homecoming movie and Black Panther solo movie. A big surprise to me was Falcon. It was actually a lot funnier than I was really expecting. He had most of the funniest lines in the movie. When Spider-Man showed up, he had his funny stuff, but then he left. Falcon was there the whole time, making weird jokes, getting like a decent bromance going on with Winter Soldier, or maybe like a three-way type thing. Uh, but he had a lot of charisma. It stood out to me. I almost feel like those 3 characters kind of overshadowed the main ones, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. But in their scenes, I noticed them, but they were pretty consistently upstaged by the new guys. If I had to nitpick or to just take something away, just to find something negative to say about it, Sharon Carter, I could have taken or leaving her. I see how she was important, but it wasn't really my interest. I got the romantic vibe from Vision and Scarlet Witch, and that was enjoyable to me. If you have 2 boring blonde white people and you have them get together in a movie, I'm gonna be like, oh. But if you have a robot and a Slavic girl, I'm gonna have some interest in that. That's different. And different is good. But one thing that Marvel has always done right and will continue to always do right is the humor. It always knows how to blend levity with the passion that you see on screen. In every action scene, somebody is making quips, and it's important. They tried it a little bit in BVS, but it just didn't fit the tone. It was too dark. This was dark, but it had the jokes sprinkled throughout that it hit. It nailed it. There was never any kind of like, oh, that's not right. It was just all, you know, it didn't break the tension at all. That's the important thing. Is like on the Agent Carter show, they would do jokes mixed in with the action and the tension, and it would just kill it because the jokes just didn't match the tone, didn't match what it was going for. And Civil War knows what it's doing. So Russo guys have a background in comedy. They understand it. They know how to make it work. I guess another gripe or nitpick that I have is that it wasn't really accessible to people who have never seen a Marvel movie or maybe just don't watch Marvel movies quite as often as fans do. I went with a friend who's only seen each one once, and he had quite a bit of trouble keeping up with it. I felt that they rehashed it well, but he disagreed. But what does he know? But nothing I come up with is really a flaw with the movie. Nothing really came off wrong. It reminded me a lot of Mad Max. It was fun all the way through, while also doing what a movie has to do, having all the parts of the story, having it all make sense, having the characters grow and develop and interact with one another. And whenever there was danger, there were stakes because I've spent years growing to love these people and I don't want anything to happen to them. And should anything happen to them, I'm going to feel it. And I felt it. I mean, who wouldn't? And one last thing before I get to my score is I really enjoyed Baron Zemo. He's one of the best villains that I've seen. Um, I'd actually heard before I saw the movie that he wasn't strictly necessary, so I was keeping an eye specifically on him. And he was critical. The movie wouldn't have happened without him. So I'm not sure what was going on with that review that I heard, but I disagree. I liked him. I liked his motivation. I love Daniel Bruhl. I loved Friedrich Zola in Inglourious Bastards, and I had a lot of high hopes for him. I was understandably confused by his accent for a little bit because I thought German actor, German accent, but then it seemed kind of Spanish. Then it was obviously Slavic, and then once they said he was Sokovian, I was like, oh, okay. Made up language, made up country, made up accent. Makes sense. Anyway, without further ado, I do my grading system out of 100 because the entirety of my education was graded out of 100, so that's what's most familiar to me. So I give this one a 99 because I feel like given time, I'll find something wrong with it to drop it from 100, and it just doesn't seem right to do my first review perfect score, especially since there's no way it's a perfect movie. That's just not possible. There's no way that I saw a perfect movie in my lifetime. It's no, 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 no. 99. 99.